Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari. The first 45 minutes will be on the school drive, and we'd like to welcome Kempsville Meadows as well as Central Elementary Schools, which will be joining us today. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is David. Hello. And we are out on the safari. So if you've got any questions about any of the animals out here, all you have to do is just ask your teachers. Now, that bird that we were looking at just a moment ago, that is a very, very cool bird, and it's quite nice to see them. It's called a hammerkop, and it's hunting at the moment. It's actually looking for little frogs, it's looking for little fish, anything really that will be living in this water. And I think it's got a good idea today because it's very, very hot, and where it's fishing is under a shady tree. And I don't think that any of the fish or the frogs would want to be out in the middle of the pond where it's very hot. I think they also would have come to the edge of that water. See how it's moving so slowly. Look at that. And it's going to strike it with its beak. Now, Alex, it's a bit difficult to say how much water there would be on the reserve. We don't have any big river systems, but we do have some small pans. And then we've got Treehouse Dam, Buffelshoek Dam, twin dams, which are filled with water. And also Chitwa, there's another big dam. So there's lots and lots of water around at the moment. You can see, look how green the bush is. We've had lots and lots of rain over the last few months. So water is not a problem, but it's autumn going into winter, and soon we're not going to be seeing any more rain until closer towards the end of the year. So that means that all these pans and all the dams are going to start to dry up, and then it'll be a little bit more difficult for the animals to find water. And also the grass tends to disappear, and some of the trees lose their leaves. So it's tough for the animals out here, but they are able to adapt. They are used to it. It just becomes difficult for the birds, but luckily for them, they've got wings, so they can just fly to where there is another pan of water. Anyways, it's not just me taking you out on this live safari. Ralph is on bushwalk. Let's go and see if he's managed to find any tracks of the leopard.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome aboard for the afternoon bushwalk. We are out here in the African bush, live coming to you from Greater Kruger National Park in the Sabi Sands. And my name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera we've got Sebastian. And don't forget to send us your questions and your comments on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat, and join us on this interactive bushwalk. Now, this morning there was quite a bit of activity around the leopards, but not really being able to find them conclusively. So we've just tried to follow up and try to think where these animals might have moved. It's rather warm. It's about 29 degrees Celsius, 83 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's rather hot, and these animals potentially have moved into the shade, maybe where there's a little bit of water as well. And I'd like to just have a very warm welcome for the kiddies that have joined us from the Kempsville and the Central Elementary Schools. Remember that we're out here on foot. We don't have the protection of a vehicle, so we need to listen out with our ears and look with our eyes and smell and use all of our senses. Now, April, thanks for your question. The animals that we might see today, well, we're looking for leopards, but we potentially also see all sorts. We've just seen some impala run off in front of us. We've also heard some birdies that are making a noise, which they normally make when there's maybe some predators around. So the little franklins, which make an alarm. So we're going to try and see if those franklin have actually made an alarm because there's some leopard, or maybe they were just disturbed by an elephant. But as we go, you see how I'm walking. I put my feet over all these things just so that we don't make too much noise. But as I said, no protection here, and we need to just be very careful, because we're not only worried about our protection, we also want to think about the animals. We don't want to hurt them, we don't want to disturb them or anything like that. So we're going to try and pick up on the trail of these leopards, and while I do that, let's head you on over to Brent, who I think is also looking for leopards.
Indeed, I am looking for leopards. A big welcome to all our schools today. My name is Brent. I have Senzo on camera. and I can't wait to hear all your questions. Now, I've just seen the tracks of a young male leopard heading in an easterly direction, so I'm just making sure he hasn't come this way. And leopards, I've been watching him since he was a tiny little baby. And hopefully we're able to find him for you for this school drive. So one of the ways we look for leopards is to look for their footprints in the sand. So if you see me looking funny and hanging my head out of the car like this, it means I'm looking for leopard tracks. Now, let's ask you a question. Oh no, there's a question from you. And a very good question from Maddie. Maddie would like to know, do we see different animals in the evening to what we see in the morning? Well, Maddie, it depends. When it gets dark, yes, we'll start seeing some nocturnal animals like owls, nightjars, and genets. Some animals we will see throughout the day, but smaller nocturnal creatures we only really see in the evening. And if you get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you can see them, but most of us are in bed then. But when we get out in the morning, we do tend to see different creatures to what we can see in the late afternoon. Okay, I think I see some tracks here, so I'm going to have to try and figure out what's going on. In the meantime, let's send you to Taylor McCurdy.
Very exciting, Brent, already on the tracks. Well, we are not on anything at the moment. We're starting to look for animals. So we're on a road called Battalier Road, and the ground is very hard here, so it's not a very good road for tracking. But we might see some cool birds along the way, so I'm checking very carefully. I'm also checking for some small antelope, like a duiker or a little steenbok. They're not very big at all. So that's what we're going to be looking for down this road. And then, if we don't find them, we will look for something else. So, Malaysia and Kai, you've asked, how do we keep track of the animals that are on the reserve? Well, it's very difficult to actually, especially you can see, look how thick it is. If you just look in here, you can't even see 20 meters. Hey, that's crazy, it's so thick. So it makes it very difficult at this time of the year. But also, the animals have got a very, very, very big area that they can move around in. So we're going to keep going so we can try and find something to have a look at. So essentially, all the animals around here, they live in an open ecosystem. So there are fences, but they're so far apart from one another. And they basically got about 8 million acres of land to move around on. Some of the animals just go wherever they want. It will depend where there's food and water. Like the birds, there's no insects around if they're eating insects, and if there's no water, like for that hammerkop, or say for something like a heron that likes water and fishes in water every single day, they're not going to stay here. They'll go away. So if all the water dries up, we probably won't see herons and hammerkops for a very, very long time, because they need water to find their food. So they're lucky. Lions and leopards, they tend to mark territories. Oh, there's a bird with a bright orange eye. Oh, and it's sat up even higher. And they mark and defend territories. And he's gone. Bye-bye, birdie. That was a Cape Glossy starling, but it doesn't want to be on the show today. And when we finish the leopards and the lions, so they will use their voices. They'll basically shout out and tell everybody that they live in this area. So lions will roar and leopards will saw. They make this very raspy sort of noise. It sounds like if you take a handsaw and you're sawing a piece of wood, that's kind of what it sounds like. And then they'll also use their urine. They'll spray it up on trees, or they also have glands in their cheeks, which they'll use and they'll rub up on their leaves. So they use different types of methods to try and mark their territories, to tell the other animals that they are living around here. So they don't really go anywhere. Parker, you've asked if I've seen a lion before. There's a very pretty bird. That one should sit there. I have seen that one, sorry. There we go. I have seen a lion before. I've seen lots of lions, and who knows, maybe we'll be lucky. Brent was telling me that there's some lions sitting on the boundary somewhere. That has to be the most beautiful bird that we get to see every single day, and it is called a lilac-breasted roller. So you can see in the front of the bird, just underneath its head, its breast is a beautiful purple color, and it's got lots of blues on it. It also looks like it's got a little bit of green and a very, very white sort of eyebrow, if you will. It's not really its eyebrow, though. And this is one of the birds that likes to eat insects, but it eats other things too. I've seen pictures of them eating rats and mice. I've never seen them eat a rat and a mouse before, but other people have. And they also sometimes eat baby birds. I've also never seen that, but I've seen pictures. And then Brent, just this morning, saw a lilac-breasted roller with a snake as it was flying off. But I think the snake must have still been alive because it ended up dropping it. We didn't get a good view. So that's quite cool to see. So that's one of the most amazing things here. And we tend to see these birds all the time. They're always around. They're very common and very, very beautiful. Lots of people come out from all over the world just to come and photograph these birds. Very pretty. So when they catch their food, they don't really catch their food in the air like some swallows do and some martins do. What they do is they'll fly into the ground, or not into the ground, but into the grass, and try and catch some insects that way. So it's sitting up on the perch and looking down below, trying to see if there's anything moving around, which is quite pretty. I wish it would fly for us so you could see all the lovely colors. Addison, now you're wondering how small is the bird. It's actually not so small at all. It's probably about this big. I'm trying to maybe not quite the length of a ruler. So if you take your ruler and you maybe minus about that much, it'll probably be about that tall. So it's not a small bird at all. It's quite big. In fact, right, up we go over this little bumpy bump. Let's see what the next animal is going to be. I don't know what the next animal is going to be, but, well, hopefully we'll find something soon enough, or maybe some footprints to find a leopard. Anyways, I know Rolf was walking from pan to pan and he's on his way to Treehouse Dam. I wonder what he'll find there.
Well, thanks, Taylor. And yes, we're still hot on the pursuit of this leopard, but we don't stop for anything randomly. We want to think about things where leopards would be at this particular moment in time. Remember, I did say to you that it's very hot at the moment, and we're looking for the tracks of the leopard, trying to think. We're moving between ponds or little pans where there's water holes, and then we're crisscrossing the roads trying to pick up their tracks. We've just recently spotted some fresh ones, and I just wanted to indicate this plant that we see here, very common plant that we find in Djuma, and this is the magic guarri. Now, these guarri bushes, there's lots of different uses for them, but I'm not going to get into that now because we have spoken about that before. But very often we find leopards and lions hiding in bushes like this because it makes very nice shade, and they like to go and lie in that shade. And when we see big, thick bushes like this, we need to be very careful because they can be lying inside there, and we won't spot them because they're very camouflaged. Now, just one small use that I want to say is that if we had to spot a fire out here in the bush, this is a very good bush that we can use. The leaves, we break off a branch and we can beat the fire out with that. So anyway, as I was saying, we're looking for these leopards, we're following up on them, and we're just going to trying to pick up some more of those tracks. Now, Charlie, you're asking where leopards live? Well, we're going to try and find where they do live, but all leopards will stay in different areas according to their characteristic. They live in this entire bush here, so they don't have a roof over their heads like we do at home. They're walking around, they're hiding in the bushes like this. They sort of stay in the shade. When it's raining, they maybe also go in underneath it. And something like this termite mound up front of us here that I'm going to go up now and have a look from is a place that they'll also go up and have a look from. So they go up and we can often use this to see if we can find leopards or lions, or even if there's any elephants around, we can have a look. And we can also come up here to get some height. If there's elephants or lions around, we can come up here on top of the termite mound, and then we're bigger than them from here. So it's always a good point to come and have a look. And if we're getting followed by one of those animals, then we can come up here, and that's one of our safe places. Because if you're big and you're high, well, you're a lot safer, aren't you? Ronica, you want to know how big are leopards? Well, Ronica, they're pretty much, I don't know if you know a dog called a Great Dane. That's a very big dog, and some of them will take me right up past my waist, but they're quite a bit smaller than that. So they may be like a Weimaraner or a medium-sized dog, but they're very strong. And just trying to put it into perspective how big they exactly are. A leopard will probably take me up just over my knee, a big one, and a medium-sized one, maybe up to about my knee, about my knees area there. So these animals, and they also, remember, that's where the saying comes from, if you do a leopard crawl, well, that's going through the bushes and staying very low to the ground. We're going to try now, go through, pick up the tracks, and see where these leopards are. So it seems like everybody's looking for leopard this afternoon. I'm going to try and catch up with them, try and help them out, because we're on foot, so it's a little bit easier for us to get closer to the tracks. But while we try and find those tracks, let's head you on over to Brent and see how his search is going.
Well, not so well at the moment. I'm checking all the likely spots where we might see a leopard at this time of the day, but with the grass so high, they can just disappear. So I'm going to go back to the last footprints of the leopard I saw. Now, Marshall, leopards eat all sorts of different meat. So they eat squirrels, they eat turtles, they eat Inyala, which that is an Inyala over there, hiding in the bush. Let me just try to get you a view, which is a type of antelope. You see it sends? Forward, back. So there is a young male Inyala hiding in the thickets. Now a leopard will eat them. There you go, you can just see its tail there. I think if we go back a little bit, we might see his horns. Maybe. No, he's hiding in the thickets. Okay, let's see if we can get a better view of that Inyala from the other side of this thicket. So we'll just answer Tristan's question quickly before we finish up on leopards' hunting behavior. No, we do not feed the animals, Tristan. This is a wild area. We let nature take its course. So the animals have to catch their own food. So, and then leopards normally are more active as it gets dark in the evening, for the first 2 hours after dark and the first 2 hours before first light are when they're most active, but they will hunt at any time of the day if there is an opportunity. Let's see if we can see the Inyala from this side. Oh, it's also very thick this side. Can we see him? Or is he still well hidden in the bush? There he is. A little bit better. He's still hiding behind some bushes there. As you can see his ears. Now, we use the Inyala and other antelope as ways to help us find leopard and lions. So if that animal sees a leopard, he'll bark, he'll go bah, and basically telling all the other Inyala to be careful, there's a leopard around. And because they live in thick bush, they've got nice big ears like that, and you can see how it's listening to everything. There we go. Well, he's going to carry on eating. I want to show you these leopard tracks quickly, because they're just up around the corner here, very close by. So, and I'll show you what a pretty track a leopard has. Now, it's possible that he could be sleeping right next to this area where he was last seen this morning. And let me find his tracks for you. So they were just over here, the last tracks, nice clear tracks I saw. There we go. You see them, Sands? Okay. So we can tell it's a male leopard from the size of the track. And he went this way. He crossed the road here. So you can see he's got 3 little lobes at the back, and there are his toes over there. So he went off the road here, and it's a male. A female would probably, even a big female, be half the size of this, even though this is a small male, a young male. Now, we checked all around here, so he might be sleeping in the little river here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down, and then I'm going to take a little quick walk into the bush there to see if I can maybe find him on foot. Sometimes it's easier to find leopards on foot where you can walk slowly and see their tracks. So while I get going, let's go see Rolf, who's checking if he's gone for a drink.
Yes, everyone, Brent is absolutely right. Sometimes it's much easier on foot. Obviously, we can't cover as much distance as they can on the vehicles. But what do we do when we're on foot? We want to come next to the water holes. Hopefully, they come down for a drink, and then we can pick up their tracks from there. But I always say, when you're in a vehicle and you're on a game drive in the African wilderness, well, it's almost like driving around in the town, around people's houses, and you're looking at all the things around in the town. When you go out on foot, it's almost like going inside people's houses. You need to be a little bit careful when you're inside people's houses, because if they catch you inside their house, they're not going to be very happy with you, are they? So when you're inside somebody's house, you want to be quiet. Now, I'm not teaching you to go into people's houses. I'm just saying that is the kind of situation it is when we're out here on foot. We're inside people's houses and we're looking closely how they all live. So these animals, how do they live? Well, we need to be careful when we're looking at that. So we haven't got any fresh tracks of these leopards just yet, but we're still looking around the water where there's a little bit of soft mud where maybe an animal has come down to drink. Now there's a bird just calling up ahead of us, but I think it might be because our tracker has just bumped it. Now, Callie, we can walk, well, it depends on how fast we walk and how many animals we see in that particular area. Sometimes we can walk 200 meters and we see all sorts of things. But other times, like today, I think we're going to have to cover a lot more distance. I think we might do between 15 and 20 kilometers. So that's about 10, 12 miles. So we can put on some distance sometimes, and it's good to stretch the legs. It's good, nice, fresh air. But when we are walking quicker and we're walking further, we need to be a little bit more careful, because we get a little bit tired and your head starts to dip and you're not watching up in front of you there, and maybe you miss a little bit of an alarm call. And the kind of alarm calls that we're listening out for now is any kind of little low growl or a little snort or an elephant that's breaking a branch. Those are the things that we need to be very careful of, because we don't want to get too close to the animal and surprise it, because then he might react. What do people do when you surprise them? They either fight or they flight, which means they fight or they run away. Most likely they run away, but there's always the chance, especially with different kinds of characters, that they want to fight, and we don't want to be in that kind of situation. So we just be very careful. We listen out all the time, and so we don't surprise them, and that's the way we want to walk. Now there's lots of plants that have got all sorts of little thorns on them as well. So as we walk through, we need to be careful of all these little things because you might get caught in there quite easily. And these particular thorns here, from the buffalo thorn, they can also tear your skin open. So you just always know the different plants as well that we walk past. You see those very hooked thorns on them? We need to be careful of those because they can very easily give you a nasty cut. Okay, as we continue on and try to get up on some more tracks, let's head you on over to Taylor and see how she's getting on.
Well, we're having a very funny we're having a very funny safari is what I wanted to say to you, because the animals are playing a big joke this afternoon and they don't want to be seen. Wait, let's see if we can see squirrels up in this tree. No, there's nothing there. Okay, next tree. We'll keep checking. Oh, there's a hornbill. I'm going to show you one of the coolest birds out here. I just need to try and find a way to show you. So I'm going to sneak up to it. Are you ready, David? It's up here on the right. But it is a little, guys. I'm going to go for a little bit further forward because I think we might get an even better view. There we go. So, Parker, you've asked if we do these safaris every single day. Not just every single day, but twice a day. How cool is that? So you get a chance to see the different animals that prefer the early mornings. Some prefer the hot afternoons. For instance, we see a lot of birds on the hot afternoons, like that red-billed hornbill that's just flown away. And then, as the afternoon progresses, all the sleepy lions and leopards that have been resting, they all decide to get up. And then we do a little bit of a safari into the night as well. So we get to see the different times of the day. And then at night you can see things like owls, which are really cool, chameleons. That's a lot of fun. Last night we found both. We found owls and chameleons. Oh, there's another hornbill. Where are you going to land? Up top. So it is sitting in a very, very big tree called a Balanites tree. Now, Mika and Japheth, you've asked if there are a lot of birds here. There are indeed. I mean, so far we've seen 3 different types of birds. And like, this is still the red-billed hornbill, not the same one we saw, it's a different one. But there must be over, maybe at this time of the year, about 250 different types of birds. And then when all the migratory birds, so all the birds that come here for our summer, they've all left now though. They just chase the sun. They don't want to be here for winter. When they come, there must be close to about 300 or so birds in the area. So we're really, really, really lucky. We do get to see lots and lots all the time. And some of them have got really, really beautiful calls. They've got a strange call. They're not the prettiest sounding bird. They sort of go quack, 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 like a chicken with a sore throat. So they make strange noises. So they're very important to the ecosystem too. Please, can you repeat the name, Kirst, for me? Beckett, you've asked why did that bird have such a long beak? Well, I suppose it would have something to do with what type of food it would be eating. But then again, you don't normally see those birds sticking their beaks into little holes because it's got quite a long beak, so you'd think that. So I'm not sure why that one has such a long beak. Whenever I see them feeding, they're normally eating termites on the side of the road. Maybe they've picked open some of the mound that's still nice and soft, or perhaps they're eating scorpions and little snakes sometimes, and centipedes. So yeah, I suppose maybe it's just got something to do with the type of food that it's eating. So like there's some birds, for instance, like a green wood hoopoo, that's got a really long, thin beak, a really, really long one. And they'll use it to go into the little holes, and they'll pull out like worms and larvae and all sorts of little beetles that are maybe living inside the wood. Excuse me. Okay, what else have we got? Let's see if there's any footprints in the sand. Oh, actually, how cool is that? There are some footprints in the sand, but whose footprints are they? They look a little bit... Well, it's hard to tell. I'm going to get out the car very quickly to get a closer look because I can't really tell what's going on over here. Sometimes it's easier to jump out. So this is what's caught my attention, is this thing here. What is that? I'm trying to see from a different angle, if it helps. I don't know what that is. It's very disturbed. It doesn't look very fresh. It looks like it's whatever has done this is maybe from yesterday. So what I will do, the cool thing about tracking is that you don't just have to focus on this one. You can look further back, you can look ahead to see if there are any more. Now, if I look over here, there's another kind of a little track that's maybe similar to that. I wonder if this isn't from a big civet or something, maybe last night, that was walking around here, because it kind of looks like it's a paw print. I don't know if it's a leopard. That one's definitely a civet track over here, but I can see some toes, and I can definitely see the back of a foot, but it's very hard to tell. It's very, very disturbed. But this is an area where there have been lots and lots of leopards. Like I said, it's not very fresh. There's lots of sand kicked up on it. Let's see if there's anything else that's quite cool here. No. This road has been driven up and down, up and down. I think Brent and James were driving here this morning trying to find those leopards that are giving us a slip again. We've actually been trying to find them since yesterday, and we haven't been winning. Just been giving us little snippets. We'll see, maybe we find some more clearer tracks. Maybe it is a leopard track, in fact. Anyways, we'll keep searching for other cool things out in the wilderness. Off you go to Brent to see if he's having any luck.
Well, no such luck on those leopard tracks. I've heard there's some other leopard tracks that are more fresh from this afternoon to the west of me, so that's where I'm heading, and hopefully we'll get some luck in that area. So unfortunately, I think that leopard's snoozing in somewhere thick. Yes, Keelan, an animal will attack an animal larger than itself. Male leopards have been known to attack kudu. A female kudu is probably double the weight of a male leopard. So yes, they do, and quite often attack animals larger than themselves. And female leopards often catch adult impala, and a female leopard weighs around 45 or so 100 pounds to 110 pounds, and a big male impala can weigh 60 kilos, so 140, 150 pounds. So yes, they do, often. Now, like a lot of animals out in the wild, apart from elephants and giraffe and rhino, leopards don't live that long. A female leopard lives to about 14 or 15 years old in the wild, and a male leopard to about 12 or 13 years old in the wild. Of course, there are exceptions. There are individuals that will live longer than that. And there we go. That's your answer to your question there, Demetrius. So yes, well, they don't live for too long, but some individuals have lived as long as 18 years, but females, but mostly 15, and males 12 to 13 years in the wild. Aha. We have some fun culprits up ahead in the road. Don't fly away now. Now, a lot of you guys might recognize this bird from The Lion King. Oh, apparently you've just seen them. But what we have here, there was a female feeding a sub-adult. So that is the adult there that was feeding the little one that's just below it. Not so little, that one there, but you can see that it was feeding that one. So it looks like all three, and where's the third one gone? Mom, dad, and baby. Now, hornbill moms are very good moms, and they'll actually lose all their feathers when they have babies, and they will stay inside the nest, and the male will close out the outside of the nest with mud to make sure no snakes and other creatures can get to the mom and the babies. So very good parents, hornbills. Okay, well, let's leave the hornbills to their business. I'm going to keep looking for leopard. Now, see, as I said, everyone seems to be looking for leopard. I wonder who's going to be first to find a leopard. But for now, Ralph is looking at something in the sand.
Looking at something in the sand, I am indeed. Now, remember everybody, like I was saying to you, being out on foot is like being inside everybody's bedroom. Well, you can see all sorts of interesting things when you're in people's houses and in their bedrooms. Well, look at this. We've got a very interesting track here. And I'd like to ask you to send in your answers. What animal you think this is to start with? It's moved all along the road here. It's moved all the way through here, and there's a little bit of scuff marks there as well. He's obviously come over this log, and, well, I will just wait for you to give some answers, but it's a very clear track that has been left here, and we can tell just by this track exactly what animal this is. Now, Ethan, why do footprints help? I think that was the question. Well, you know, footprints help us identify exactly what kind of animal has been there. And that is very interesting, because if you make a footprint, we can see if your footprint was a very small one, well, it's a little person, isn't it? If it's a very big one, it's a very big person. Well, out in the bush, we can also see if it's a big animal, if it's a small animal, and exactly what kind of animal. Is it a bird? Is it an antelope? Is it a reptile? Or is it something completely different? Well, I want to know from you what animal you think this is, and I'm only going to give you a little bit longer. London, you are absolutely right. It is a snake. Now, I want to show you something very interesting about this snake track, because which way was he going? Now, I'm not going to wait for you to answer, because I want to show you which way he was going. There's a very clear imprint there. There's a very clear way how he was going, like a snake, isn't it? He's going like this, in a serpentine motion, up and down, like that, in a real windy motion like that, like snakes do, hey? But which way was he going? Now, think about a snake. As he moves, he needs to push each time. So he pushes, he pushes, he pushes. And what happens there, it makes a very clear push mark. So I'm going to put my binoculars down there. And as I can see here, if I push like that, there's a dune over there. As he turns, he pushes again. There's another dune there. And he turns there. There's another dune on that side. And then very big over here, he pushes. So you see that dune? And then when he comes around, he pushes there again. So this snake went up in that direction. Okay, so that's the way you tell how snakes move, which direction they move. Now, there's not only just snake tracks here. Liam, well done. You also guessed it right. It's a snake. Now look at this little track over here. Very different to the snake mark, isn't it? It looks just like a line in the sand, but if we look very closely, there's 1, 2, 3 toes, and it's stepped again. 1, 2, 3. This is a little dove that's walked through the snake track. I wonder if that snake was around when this dove was walking through here. A dove is a little bird, and he's got 3 little toes. Over here, we've got a little round mark, and over there another little round mark. That is a little scrub hare, like a bunny rabbit. So, we haven't seen these animals, but we know that they are here just because they've left such wonderful little tracks for us to know that they are here. It's like you writing in your book at school. We know that you were there because you were writing in your book, isn't it? Okay, so speaking of tracks, we're going to try and get some more of those leopard tracks, see if we can find them. And while we do that, let's head you on over to Taylor with a beautiful antelope.
We have got a beautiful antelope. There's quite a few of them down here near a little dam, but it's not really a dam anymore. It's just a small amount of water in there. And these are called Inyala, with an N, Inyala, sorry. And these are the boys, and they're very pretty. They've got their smartest outfits on this afternoon. And you probably think they're quite hot, because it is very hot today. I don't know how I would cope with all that long hair, but I suppose they've just acclimatized to this area. Nice big horns. And the girls look completely different to them. But unfortunately, there's no female Inyala here to show you a comparison, because they are like a light brown color. They are almost the same color as the Impala that you can see just standing at the back. But there's a big male, again, a big ram with his long horns. But the girl Inyala is about those colors. Now, Madison and Kamaya, I'm glad you've asked this question about whether I've seen animals fighting before, because at this time of the year, it's rutting season. So the Impala, this animal that we're looking at now, it's getting busy and fighting with one another, trying to, well, I suppose, decide who's the biggest and the strongest Impala in the Sabi sand. So we're seeing them fighting at the moment. And then a moment ago, you may have also seen there was a little bird sitting on that Impala's face, and we'll see that on a lot of the different animals. That was called an oxpecker. I just wanted to quickly tell you about that. So we can see a lot of different animals fighting. I think what could happen with these Inyala down below, if any female Inyala show up, they might do a beautiful dance. So the Inyala are not quite as aggressive as some of the other antelope species. They like to settle their differences by showing off. So what they do, as you can see, they've got that mane, that white mane that's sort of just sticking up a little bit. They can make that stand up, and it's quite long and wispy too. So they make all that hair stand up on their the back of their necks and down their spine, and then they sort of arch their backs a little bit, and they lift their legs up one at a time very, very slowly, and they sort of move like they're going in slow motion. And that normally can determine who the winner is, whoever's got the biggest horns, whoever does the best dance. And if that doesn't work, and they are equal size, then they will clash horns, just like the Impala do. But lots of animals do fight. We've seen elephants fighting, we've seen leopards and lions fighting before. Hippos fight a lot too. Now, Annika, I suppose it depends on what type of antelope species we've got here that would determine how long the horns are, as well as Sean. Sorry, Sean, you were also asking about the horns. And the Inyala's horns, I'm not exactly sure on the length. They're not too long though. They're not big like the kudus. I would say they maybe get to about, 80 centimeters, between 60 and 80 centimeters. So say just double the length of your ruler. See, there's also a little bit of a bend in them. Now, the reason why they have those horns is, of course, for protection or for fighting, like we just said. With the antelope species, you don't often see the girls fighting. It's the boys that fight over the girls. So they will use those horns not only to protect themselves, but also to be able to establish dominance, so to establish who is the biggest and the baddest of them all. And then lions have got very sharp teeth and big claws that they'll use when they fight. The leopards are the same. And rhinos have got big horns too on the front of their faces. And they've also got very thick skin, so it's like they're wearing armor plating. These antelope are not wearing armor plating. There, you can see the one is sort of making the hair stand up on the back of his neck now. See that? Look how cool it is. And if he does it, I bet all the other Inyala are going to do the same thing. It's one of the most amazing things to watch out here in the bush, is to see the Inyalas do that beautiful dance. I haven't actually seen it for a very, very, very long time. And I was hoping that if we hang around here for long enough, we may, in fact, get to see them do their dance. But that would mean there'd have to be some girls around here. They'd have to get excited in order to do that beautiful dance. Chasing the flies away and the oxpeckers. See, those birds will actually help take the ticks off of those animals. Addison, you've asked if I think that these animals get lost. Not when they're this age. Maybe when they're younger, they could get separated from the females, perhaps. That could happen. But otherwise, no, I think they've got a pretty good sense of direction. Very cool, though, aren't you? I get lost sometimes, though. Sometimes. Not anymore, though, but when I first started and I was learning the roads, I had no idea where I was driving. And when I was in Kenya, I also had no idea where I was driving at all. Ooh, hang on. Whose footprints are in the sand? See, they're very busy down here. Lots and lots of different footprints. Right, let's see if we can find one more thing to show you before I have to say goodbye. Look at this. I'm going to find a little gap. There's some wildebeest coming down. Let me find a gap. There we go. So, just in the distance, on their way down, I think hoping to come and have a drink of water from what's left in that little drying up pan. They'll have to get past the impala and the inyala first. But thank you to Central Elementary and Kempsville Meadows for joining us today. I hope that you learned a little bit about the school drive, and I hope that you have a really good day at school today and you don't get too much homework. Anyways, remember, you can still keep watching us, and we hope that you jump on board again soon. But I'm going to send you to Brent now, where we will continue the afternoon safari.
Oh dear, and off disappears the chagra. That's the one thing about birding. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating as they do disappear. So welcome back to our small safari life family with us for most of the days. Standing by. Zoe's Junction verted access. Copy, thanks. Confirm I keep coming straight up verted access. Copy, thanks very much, Jan. Ooh, I wonder where I'm off to. Okay, hang on, guys. I'm just going to try to find these off-road tracks. I wonder what we're off after. Looks like they went off here. Let's just listen, sorry. Let me just ask them again quickly. Taxis best access from Gallagher shortcut or from vertical access still? Right, copy. I see where your hand's coming out. I'm a little bit further south. Okay, I'm on my way. Okay, so we're going to jump in there now so we can just see the vehicle coming out in front of us. And apparently it's quite thick in here. There we go. Hold on, we're going in. Oh dear, this is quite thick in here. Okay, I think I'm going to have to concentrate to get in here. So while I do that, I'm going to send you across to Ralph, and you're just going to have to wait to see what the surprise is.
Yes, well, everybody, we're still also trying to find these leopards, but while we're walking along, well, I decided I was getting a little bit hungry, so I'm going to have myself a little bit of salad here, and this is a very sweet little leaves coming from the buffalo thorn, the thorns that I was showing you a little bit earlier, but this one is a live one, and very interesting plant this indeed. Because, well, it doesn't only have very tasty little leaves that you can use to put in your salad, but lots of folklore around this, with the local Zulus and Shangaan all using this plant in their ancestral sort of legends and myths and so on. Now, if you look at these branches, they're very zigzag branches, okay? And what they believe is that these zigzag branches represent the path through somebody's life. And every time you have a decision is where you get a thorn. And you have a straight thorn and a hooked thorn. You see that? And then you have another turn and a straight thorn and a hooked thorn, and another turn and a straight thorn and a hooked thorn. And what they believe is that is your pathway through life, and each time you get a real decision that you need to make, one thorn is pointing into the future and one is pointing into the past. So when you make decisions in your life, you need to reflect on what has happened in the past, and you need to think about that decision and how it is going to affect your future. So very interesting with that indeed. Now, it goes further to say that when somebody dies in a village, it's a person from a particular village, but he dies away from home. What the people from that village will do is they will take a branch of the buffalo thorn that this tree is from his home village, and they will take it to the place where he died. And with that branch, they will capture his spirit. And then they will return home with the branch, and they will buy 2 tickets. If they're going on a bus, they will buy 2 bus tickets. If they are having something to eat, they will eat for 2. Okay, if they're having something to drink, they will drink for 2, as if the person is with them, because his spirit is encapsulated in this branch. And when they get back to the home village, they will do the death ceremony, or the passing away ceremony, with the branch, and they will bury that in his home village. So very interesting in that sense. It's called a buffalo thorn because the people also believe that buffalo use this as a defense mechanism against lions, because if they are getting cornered by lions, they will back up into this tree, and then they don't have to worry about what's behind them. They only worry about what's in front. So a very nice defense mechanism for buffalo. The Latin name is Ziziphus mucronata, and the Afrikaans term for it is the blinkblaar waggebikkie. And that means the leaves have got a different color on each side. Okay, so it's a sort of whitey color and a very dark green color. That's the blinkblaar, the different colored leaf. And waggebikkie means wait a bit, because if I go in there and it's going to hook on me, and I am going to stand here now for a while, and I'm actually going to need Seb to come and help me get out, because I am going to wait a while. All right. So now that I'm properly stuck in this tree, you can see why it is called the wait a bit tree, because you definitely do need to wait a bit when you're in there. Okay, I think we need to continue and get along with our leopard tracks. Oh, do I have a caterpillar? That's a very interesting one. He looks like a little branch. Oh, I haven't seen one of those before. Very interesting. The guy's got a little bit of silk on him. He's obviously mimicking the branch, and I think now he's also putting out a little bit of toxins that have disturbed him. Yes, it is very green. I hope that doesn't burn a hole in my strap. Well, I think we need to try and put him back on the bush that we got him from. He's obviously going to make a wonderful butterfly. Let's try not to injure him. He's got quite a little bit of silk on him as well. Go on there, buddy. There we are. Safe and sound. Back on your buffalo thorn. Good spot for him to be as well, because with all these thorns around, he'll be quite nicely protected. So Herbie, the master tracker, is listening out for and looking for some tracks there. And let's continue. Let's go and try and find this leopard. And I think Brent is doing the same. Let's head on over to him.
Well, we've got you. I'm not sure which leopard it is. It looks like Xidulu, I think. So it looks like Xidulu. I'm not 100% sure. We've been trying to keep up with her. She's going into some very thick stuff. So this is the first actual decent glimpse we've got of her. We're going to try to keep up with her. But it is quite hectic in here, and she's about to go into a little river system. I'm hoping we're going to be able to cross that river system and follow her. Isn't that gorgeous? Well, already a longer or better view of a leopard than the one we got this morning. There we go. That does look like Xidulu. Wendy! Yay, Xidulu! I agree with you, Wendy. Yay! Wonderful to catch up with little Xidulu. Well, not so little. She's a big female now. The first time I saw her, she was still called Ingrid Dam's young female. She was just independent of her mom. Okay, so let's try to get a bit closer. And just a little bit less grass in the way, yeah. Here we go. Gary, I hope you were right. I'm also in the mood for a hunt this evening, and I'm sure so is Senzo and everyone else out there. And she's quite a busybody as a leopard. She's been ducking and diving and moving quite quickly through the bush. Thankfully for us, she's stopped for a second now. Beautiful late afternoon light coming through. Oh, itchy ear. Now, it's difficult to say, Justin, whether she'll keep pushing into Tundi's territory, but it is a possibility. She is a lot younger. Tundi is getting a little bit long in the tooth, so to speak. Well, what happens with leopards is they actually get short in the tooth as they get older rather than long in the tooth. So it is possible she'll keep pushing, but Tundi might push back. You never know. Okay, hang on, guys. Let's have a look. Hi. How steep this is here. Yeah, I can see it's fine sense. Okay, there she is. She's disappearing. Oh, don't go that way. Don't go that way. Straight into the Tambuti thickets. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, we're going to keep trying to keep up with her. While we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor.
Hi! Darby, did you not get it? Sorry, we went through a dip just behind us, and I don't think Darby was getting the comms. Sorry for that, everybody. Sometimes in these places, like the radio signals don't work. It has happened to me quite a few times down at Chitwa. In fact, where one of us doesn't have communication. Anyways, we're on Buffelshoek boundary. I was trying to track that big elephant that is supposedly Daryl, but we're not really sure. I had a look at some of the screenshots from his mud bath earlier today. Now, those tusks just pointed up a little bit too much for my liking. So I don't actually know if it was Daryl. There are lots of elephants in the Sabi sand that have got holes in their ears, but I mean, that doesn't mean it wasn't him, but those tracks do cross out. They go all the way along Mvubu Road, and then after Mvubu Road, they cross into Buffelshoek, the next town. We were just not quick enough today, I'm afraid, but we're going to head towards, I think, Buffelshoek Dam and see if our hippos are there. We better count the goslings very quickly, see if all the Egyptian geese goslings are still there. We've lost one already. We're down to 7. Now, obviously, we've been trying to find all these mystery leopards that have been moving around, and somebody that seems to have moved right out the area, Katkus, is Tamba. The last time I heard about Tamba, it was not quite a week ago, just shy of a week ago, and it sounded like he was on Elephant Plains. It actually sounds like he's taken up residence at the moment on Elephant Plains, and he seems to be doing all right. So you can have a look at their Facebook page and you can see some images from all the rangers there. So otherwise, alternatively, Tamba has got his own Facebook page, and they post any shots that are well seen of him. So you can still see him grow, even though we don't maybe get to see him. There's still an opportunity to be able to watch him. I would like to see him again. I didn't think that he was going to disappear so soon, but he is being a normal leopard. Hosana is just being abnormal and sticking around, lingering around, but I suppose his situation is a little bit unusual, hey, with everything that of course happened, the mystery. Now, if you don't know who Tamba is, well, if you've already started searching him, you probably would have found out, but Tamba is in fact an offspring of Tundi. And obviously we know Tandi's got a new offspring, Tlalamba, and that's who we've been trying to find for the last little while. So Tamba's moved on, but at least we still got Kuchava in the area, who's also an older daughter of Tundi, and she's got a little one of her own. But we haven't seen, we haven't actually seen Kuchava for a while. Now, the reason why I'm wowing is because, well, Brent has lived up to his reputation of being the leopard whisperer.
Well, we're with her she's just spotted a small breeding herd of Inyala. There's some young ones in it as well. They're probably 20 meters away from her. And you can see how her behavior has changed. She's quite focused. And it's interesting to see which way she's going to go from here. Now, I've just lost sight of... No, I can just make out the Inyala directly in front of me. So I'm just trying to see if the Inyala sense anything. I don't think they do yet. Now, I'm not sure whether... You see, there's the Inyala there, Senzo. See it right in front of me? There you can just see them moving. There we go, she's on the move. See, quite often you don't realize how short a leopard is. They often lose sight of the prey while they're stalking. Okay, I'm just trying to see where she's gone. We've got no... Oh, there we go. Sens has found her again. See, I think she's almost going the wrong way now. See, to me, it looks like she's trying to catch sight of them again. Okay. Oh, I've lost sight of the Inyala. We're hoping she should pop out on the other side of this bush if she doesn't head for that termite mound. There she is, you see her sense? Okay. There. Right there. There we go. You got it? There we go. You can just see how that camouflage makes her absolutely melt. She's so difficult to keep an eye on when she gets into that sort of broken country. Okay, I think we need to move. The Inyala have moved off, and we don't want to disturb. So what I want to do is head up and around. What, Sense? Did you see something? Oh, sorry, I thought Senzo was calling me there. I'm just trying to see one last squiz of her. No. I think in these situations, especially when she gets down into those thickets like that, it's better to try and get the prey in sight, and then you sit by and you stand by there and you wait. Karen says, can Xidulu please catch some prey? I'm hoping so. Karen, I am hoping so. Okay, let's just try and find a way where we're going to move around at a bit of a distance so as not to disturb. Not giving either Xidulu or the Inyala an advantage. Ooh, and sounds like Rolf's got another spotted cat.
Well, everybody, this is now absolutely wonderful. We've been tracking up on this beautiful cat for a little while now, and we've managed to find him with the help of our expert tracker, Herbie. He picked up the fresh tracks, and then between us, we've been able to get him now, and he's just gone down. It looks like Hosana. Everybody, and welcome aboard with the afternoon bushwalk. We've been able to follow up and track Hosana, the very famous leopard that we have here on Djuma in the greater Kruger National Park in the Sabi Sands. We got his tracks a little bit earlier, and well, we've managed to find him. He did run away from us a little bit, but now he's relaxed, and we're now very close to him on foot. What a wonderful experience this is. He's lying nice and flat. It seems he's relaxed quite nicely now. And we're about 25 meters away from him, so not very far, but we do have the little drainage line in between us, so he also can feel safe. But look at that beautiful camouflage that he has. If we didn't know what his tracks are like and our expert eyes to be able to spot him here in the bush, you could walk straight past him. What a beautiful cat that is. Now, Nandini, you're asking a very relevant question there. We generally let the animals tell us how far away we should be from them. And you can see his very relaxed nature. Obviously, when we do move around a little bit, he's quite sort of reactive towards that. But if he showed any sign of agitation or nervousness, we would back away. He would let us know. So he's the one that we need to watch in terms of how close we're going to get to him. But you see how relaxed he is? Well, he's relaxed with us being in this particular position, and I'm happy that we've got some dead ground in front of us. He's got cover, and so do we. So it's absolutely perfect. And well, look at his behavior. He's relaxed, and so we should be too. But we just need to watch him. If his body language changes in any way, if he starts to snarl, or he puts his ears back, or he starts to wave his tail backwards and forwards, or up and down, that's when we'd start to get nervous as well. But this cat, Hosana, is very relaxed around people and around vehicles, quite habituated, but we still need to keep our distance, and we need to be careful, especially on foot. That's why we've got this dead area in between us and that cover. Perfect. And while getting in here, we listen to all the little noises of the animals, little birds giving away his presence, especially the franklin and the spurfowl, and one or two little squirrel calls. And he is looking over at us. He is aware that we are here, but he's quite relaxed. A little bit of ear flicking, that's more so to do with the flies and so on. So he's starting to move off. I'm just going to tell Herbie that he's going around that side, just so that he knows that Herbie doesn't get surprised with him coming around there too. Now, with the leopard moving off like that, when we're on foot, we're not going to chase up behind him too much. That could irritate him. And with us being on foot, we're putting both us and the animal in danger. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to let the vehicles know, and then they can come in and view him nice and closely. And that's the best way to do things from this particular point. You never follow up on predators, elephants, or any other animals like that. Especially if they start walking away, you don't chase up behind them. So that was fantastic, everybody. My heart is racing because it was so amazing. And that's it. Let's head on over to Brent, who's got a leopard on the hunt.
Now, can you believe there is a leopard, an adult female leopard, right in the middle of your screen? You can just make out her rosettes. She's busy stalking a little group of Inyala. Now, just wait, and you can just see her moving. You see how slowly and stealthily she's moving through the thicket. Isn't this incredible? Now remember, this is 100% live, coming to you from the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in South Africa. We've already had two leopards this afternoon. This little female, or young female, Xidulu, is busy stalking Inyala. Now, I can't see the antelope anymore, but I know they must be close, judging from her behavior. Now, you can see she's still there. There. Nandini, no. Inyalas are not too fast for the leopard. If the leopard can get close enough. She's moving so sneakily through there. Miss Muffin says it's raining leopards. Miss Muffin, I wish I could sit and watch leopards all day, every day. Can you still see her? I think she's either gone rock still. Have you got her? Thank you, she's moved. Now you can see how effective that camouflage is. She just completely disappears. Now we haven't heard the bark of the Inyala yet, which means that they've spotted her. Where's she gone? I'm just going to move forward a tiny bit to see if we can see. There she is. Where's that little... I just saw her in that little gap there. But she moved forward a little bit, so I'm just going to roll forward and see if we can spot what she's stalking. You see them? There we go. Senzo has spotted... Oh, they've spotted her. There's an Inyala right here. That's the one she went for. But she wasn't close enough. Now listen to the bark. Now they're telling all the other Inyala, careful, leopard, watch out, there's a leopard. And once the leopard's been spotted, the Inyala are fleet enough of foot to be able to avoid her. Now, she should start moving out into the open, and hopefully she will hunt again soon. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us for your very own slice of live action from the middle of the African bush. From myself, Brent, and Senzo, bye. Wow, that was exciting. She got really close. We still can't see her, but we can see that Inyala. I said, taxi, can you see her? The last place I saw was just in front of Fanuti there. I said, no one can see her yet. And okay, well, we're going to try see if we can get a visual of Xidulu. While we do that, let's send you back to Rolf. He's still with the little chief.
Wow, everyone, yes, we are still with the little chief. He's just moved off a little bit into the grass, and he's just hiding himself a little bit. So we've given ourselves a little bit of space, and we're just having a last quick view on him. I'm sure you can see him nice and clearly there. And he's still quite relaxed. But there's some vehicles that are going to come in now and that are going to view him nice and closely, because he is a little bit more relaxed around vehicles. When people are on foot, it's a little bit more difficult because he'll react quicker to us, and we obviously don't want to put his life in danger or ours. So as much as he is relaxed around us, we need to be very careful. Because, his mood might change from minute to minute. And the little chief is a wonderful cat, but we just need to respect his space as well. That's of utmost importance. So here's Herbie, the master tracker. Well done, Herbie. I'm so stoked that we managed to find him. And it's a team effort, eh? Both of us have done it, but without Herbie, I don't think we would have found him. He knows these cats so well. He knows their habits, and he knows where they move and groove. And I'm still learning the particular habits of these cats. I know leopard in general. Now, it's probably quite difficult for you to see him in the grass there, so I think we're going to let the vehicles come in, get a better view for us. Maybe Taylor will come in. He's gone nice and flat there, so we'll let her know where he is, and maybe she'll come in and have a better view. Speaking of Taylor, let's head on over to her and see how she's going.
Well, I'm very excited to hear about Hosana, and I'd love to come and view him, except my game drive radio is not working, so I can't talk to Herbie on the radio. So, Ralph, if you can please tell Kirsty, who's directing, where I need to go, and then I'll quite happily go there. Oh, okay, there we go. You're in the Mulwati. Well, you know what we can do is we can perhaps start at the most southern point of the Mulwati, which is just off Gowrie Main, and then go all the way up, and then I suppose we will have to find them somewhere. Or, what do we do? No, I think we should do that, because Hosana could be quite fun. He doesn't sit down for too long. Just north of Mumba Road. Okay, then we need to go down here, and we're going to reverse. We've literally just passed Mumba Road, in fact. So we will turn down Mumba Road. Like this. Zoop. Kirsty, it's not a problem. If they're in the Mulwati, that's fine. My phone is not working, so the pin is not really going to work. There's not many places they can go, and if they're just north of Mumba, that's perfect. So we're on Mumba now, so this will take us all the way down. It's actually a really long road, in fact. Maybe a kilometre and a half, maybe just over a mile or so, and then it dips down into the Mulwati, and then it's only a very small section of a few meters before it turns into twin dams. So I reckon that we should be able to find Hosana, but we will get there eventually. So I'm quite excited, seeing as though we were chasing ghosts yesterday, trying to find leopards. It was quite hilarious how the animals were behaving around us, just sort of giving us little snippets of them. Well, not even us, not even giving myself and Ralph snippets, giving everybody else around us a chance to have a look at them. And I think they must feel a little bit sorry for themselves today that they treated us like that. And now, well, they're just showing off. So that's fine. Like I said, you've always got to take nature with a pinch of salt and have a sense of humor about it. Let's see whose footprints these are. Lots of little squirrel tracks and things like that in the road. There we go. I suppose we better keep our eyes out, because Tandy hasn't been located, so she could be around, and this is another favorite spot of hers. She does quite enjoy Mumba Road too. And I think Brent, a couple of mornings ago, yesterday morning in fact, had Tlalamba's tracks in a mud wallow, a drying up mud wallow, if you will. So we know that they do spend a bit of time down here. And I think the first time that I actually briefly saw Tlalamba was just off a road, not far from here, just off to the right. But she wasn't cooperating that day. She was playing in the long grass, and I couldn't quite see her. That was the day. It was really an amazing sighting. In fact, we'd found Hosana. Remember, he was up in the tree with a dacre kill and hissing down at below him, and we couldn't work out what it was. And then Tandy appeared from the drainage line in the long grass. That was a great welcome back to the Sabi sand. I've definitely been spoiled. You know what I did start doing is I actually started writing in one of my notebooks, but I've lost all my pens now, on all the different leopard and lion sightings, basically all the big cat sightings, and then also wild dog sightings I'd had. And I'd filled up 2 pages fairly quickly. So we really, really are spoiled in the Sabi sand with all the wonderful animals that we get to see on a regular basis. I was impressed with the wild dogs. I don't think I've seen so many wild dogs in such a short space of time before, in like sort of regular intervals, which was nice. see. But we've still got a little bit of a way to go before we get down to the Molwati. I don't think you're going to be able to see it. There's a little grasshopper that has landed on the hood of the car, but I think it's just out of view, unfortunately. I don't think you can't see it. No. It's just, I wonder if I can chase it. Not chase it, but just encourage it is probably a better word. Let's see. Oh, it's on the tire. Just leap over there. No, that's a fly. I don't know. Oh, you know what? It's a cheeky grasshopper. It's just, again, just sitting out of view. Oh, hello. It's jumping. There we go. There it is. What's walking here? What's this? Hang on. Sorry. That was a very pretty grasshopper, which is why I want to show you. But something has just slunk away. Did you hear the grass moving there? And I saw something disappearing into the grass. I don't know if it was a daycare. Let's just take a gamble. Let's drive in here. Something is definitely moving here. It's probably going to be a steenbok or a daycare, but you know what? You never know. Let's just have a little gander here. And you see it? Oh, well spotted. It's a little steenbok. Don't worry, it has got 2 ears, but sometimes they put one ear behind them like that, and then it makes it difficult to see. What's irritating you? That was really quite cool. I think it was trying to sneak away from it. And the way that it was slinking through the grass made me actually think that it was a leopard or something. Shame. It must have got something in its ear, maybe some grass seeds. That's a possibility. I know that one of my dogs, Pepper, my Jack Russell, I used to have, she used to get grass seeds in her ears all the time. Now, Lauren, yes, if animals do get sick, they're obviously weakened. They probably want to stay sort of out of sight. I also suppose it depends if they're a herd animal. So I've seen quite a few impala that, just look under the weather thin, maybe a bit of a not even necessarily a limp, but you see them with swollen ears. They just don't look well. Then they're going to keep up with the herd because they know if they single themselves out and they start lagging behind, they're obviously going to be, well, dinner for something. I've actually just seen the bushwalk team appearing up ahead of us. Anyways, but we're going to go and pass him and find out exactly where Hosana is. And while we do that, let's go back to the other leopard on the property.
Well, there she is. She's just moving down the road now after taking us on some pretty hectic off-roading. But she's out on the road, so we're going to try and keep up with her now. Yes, Wendy, apparently Xidulu has been seen mating with Hukamuri in the west. And I'll just try and make sure. No, that's not going to work. You got her there, Sens. Okay, we're just going to wait for the other vehicles to move out of the way a little bit. We'll just let them go past us. Hi, Bobby. Bobby, in certain circumstances, leopards have been known to learn how to use vehicles to hunt, but not really. If that does happen, it's generally naughty people who've taught them that habit. When they get close to an animal or something, they'll try to start the car and make sure that sort of the leopard has the best chance out here. We try and make sure that doesn't happen, and that it has equal chance for prey and predator. And she's going, disappearing around the corner near the old Gallagher shortcut hyena den at the moment. Thanks, Orbs. Thanks, guys. Oh, we're going to just shoot up ahead here quickly. Hold on, everyone. I'm going to try and get into a spot where we can... Oh, there we go. She's decided to flop down in the road. Now, there we go. She's decided to flop down straight in the road, giving all of us a nice chance to see her. Ollie, normally we can figure out which leopards which quite quickly. And, I mean, we spend a lot of time with these animals, so any new leopard in the area, it doesn't take us too long to figure out who is who. As I said, Xidulu used to be known as the Ingrid Dam young female. So her mom is the Ingrid Dam female, who is from to the west of here, quite far west actually. So Ingrid's Dam is an area we actually, well, I suppose Tristan, Scott and I all know very well. It is on Singita, where we all used to work. Oh, she is a gorgeous leopard. Giving herself a good preen after that failed Inyala hunt. Tom, indeed, these are the best type of roadblocks, but she's up and on the move again. She is heading towards the north. We will stick with her as long as possible. Hopefully she has a little bit more success on her next attempt at hunting. Okay, well, we're going to follow her shortly while we do that. Let's send you back to Ralph, who's still on foot.
Yes, everyone, we are still on foot, and, well, we've left Hosana now, and Taylor's moving into that area, but what we're doing now is we're actually in the block where Thandi has left her cub. So it looks like the tracks have led back to where the cub is. So we're hoping, we obviously don't want to get the cub on its own. That's not the idea. The idea is that it looks like Thandi's tracks have led back towards where the cub was last seen. So that's what we're doing at this very moment. But we're obviously just trying our luck now. We've found Hosana, so we thought we're in the area. Let's go and have a look and see if we can find Thandi and cub. Just try and keep Seb out of the thick like. Paul, nice question that. The smell of the bush at the moment is actually giving quite a lot of people hay fever, because you see this grass, all of it is in flower, it's all in seed, so there's a lot of pollen at the moment, and it's quite irritating on a lot of people's noses. I don't really get sinus like that, so it's not a problem for me. So a lot of people are struggling to actually breathe at the moment, but for me it's a wonderful time, because there's all sorts of fresh smells as we walk through, all these grasses giving off this lovely fresh smell, and there's hardly a breath of wind at the moment as well, and it's cooling off quite nicely. I have been sweating profusely up until this point. It's been rather hot at around that 30 degrees Celsius, but now it's starting to get very comfortable, very nice. And as we start heading into autumn, well, these are going to be starting to be lovely evenings, lovely mornings, actually quite chilly, and we lose that sort of real humidity of the low-felt summers. We do need to be a little bit quiet, because we're heading into the area where Thandi and cub were last seen. Okay, while we try and catch up and see if we can find the nkonzo, as we say in Shangaan, the tracks in English of Thandi and cub, let's head on over to Taylor, who's now with Hosana.
We are. Well done to the bushwalk team. Fabulous work. And who knows, maybe you'll have another leopard this evening. Wouldn't that be quite cool? But here we sit with young Hosana, who you just saw moments ago, the last offspring of Kruger, our beloved queen, who sadly is not with us anymore. But here he sits, fast asleep. He's a bit of a chubby bunny at the moment. Look at all those wrinkles in his neck. He's still got to, of course, grow into his skin. He has definitely got a lot of growing to do. And isn't it amazing that we get to follow his life day in and day out? Not every single day, though, because he's quite sneaky and disappears for a little while. But I'm glad to see him back on Djuma, which is awesome. Now, I was just chatting to Johan, and Johan had actually said that Hosana mentioned to him that he's possibly going to make a kill in an hour. So we'll see how much of a leopard whisperer Johan is this evening. And if he's going to make a kill. Johan is just sitting with his family and friends just on the opposite side of the tree. Won't be able to see him. But there we go, a gorgeous glow just in the background. I think we're going to be in for a spectacular sunset this evening, which will be another... Now, we were actually talking about this the other day. Tristan and I, in fact, were talking about this, Clifford, and we think that we see more leopards up here in the north. I was looking, because it's not the first time that I've written down leopard sightings. I think I've had more regular sightings up here, and I'm not just talking about on our traverse. I'm also talking about the leopards that all the other lodges are seeing in the north. And there's at least a leopard or 2 or 3 sighted every single safari. So down in the south, I've had some amazing sightings, and I've seen lots and lots of leopards. Obviously, there's large concentrations along the Sabi and the Sand River. But I don't know, I just feel like the sightings up here are really cool. I think I've actually had some of the best sightings up here rather than down in the south. I find that the lion population is better down in the south, and the reason why I think that is obviously with all the big river systems comes really good grazing. There's a big yawn, which brings about a lot of the buffalo. The lions, of course, the main source of food out here in the Sabi sand and in the Kruger for lions is in fact buffalo. So they're going after them most of the time. So I think that the leopards sort of fill a couple of spots, if you will. There's another pun. I'll chat. There's a bird that's calling at the moment. I just want to sit quietly so you can hear it. Can you hear it going? I don't know if you can hear it. It might be a little bit soft, but it's a really cool bird we don't get to see all the time. It's a southern bobo. One of the birds that are able to not only mimic other bird calls, but they've got quite a large vocabulary of their own. And, well, speaking of birds, you can see Hosana has pricked his ears up. I think a little francolin or something flew up ahead. I wasn't actually looking in his direction. It sounds as suiting now because there's a francolin that's calling in the distance. So perhaps that's what caught his attention. But this is good news for us, the fact that he has yawned once, and that he is now starting to groom his paws, means that he could potentially get up and get on the move. And I do hope that he decides to either walk in the Mulwati, where it's going to be easy for us to follow him. I don't want him to go, and this is of course is just my personal preference, because I know how thick the bush is south and to the east of us. It will be a nightmare to try and navigate through. But if he does go north, or if he walks up in the Mulwati, or even if he goes west, he'll move into sort of a fairly open spot. So, seeing as though we're not quite close, but we're not far away from Treehouse Dam, and I know that Conrad, one of our technical geniuses, spotted a leopard at Treehouse Dam during the middle of their day on their way to do some repair work on the mast at Chitwa. He had said he saw a big male leopard. So I think that this is the big male leopard that we had in fact seen. Hello, beautiful boy. And it would be nice to see him when he gets up too. Now this is a nice area. It's not too thick just yet either. It's starting to get fairly open. Now you might hear a couple of other voices every now and then. Of course, we aren't the only ones in the safari. I think you did see with Ralph when they first found Hosana on foot. Ah, okay. So it seems like you're not able to hear everybody else talking. I just thought I'd mention it anyway, in case you thought, what on earth? Who is on Taylor's car? You'd think that I'd have lots of children on my car, though. Oh, there we go. Heather, you said that you did manage to hear that bird call and that you loved it. Well, fantastic. That's really, really good news. It's a bird that we don't get to put on screen very often, but a lovely bird nonetheless. Right, so I think what we're going to be doing this afternoon is just bouncing from spotted cat to spotted cat. So back you go to Brent, who's still got Xidulu.
Well, she's flopped down in the road again for another little grooming session after walking down the road. Sorry, so there we go. We are getting closer to the northern boundary. And traditionally, as you know, this is very much Tundi territory. Wendy, it's very difficult to tell whether she's pregnant. You only really can tell with leopards when they're quite far along, but she was mating with Hokumuri not too long ago, so the likelihood of her being pregnant for sure now is a bit difficult to call. Probably not. If she is, very recently so. Bobby, animals don't really suffer from morning sickness like humans. That would very much impede their ability to hunt and survive. So no, Bobby, don't really have morning sickness like humans. I'm sure females do feel some discomfort when they're pregnant, but I don't think they get morning sickness like humans. Or cravings. Meat is meat and a cat must eat. Oh, she is beautiful. Now, what she's probably doing is trying to get a lot of that sticky pollen off her. So at the moment, most of the grass is absolutely covered in pollen, and it's high in starch and sugar, so it's very, very sticky. So you'll see the leopards will spend quite a bit of time grooming after walking through long grass at this time of the year. Oh, she's beautiful. She's giving us a good show today. I suppose well deserved after the thickets she took us through. It's incredible how flexible these cats are. And you see it when they're grooming, but when you actually see them jumping and running up trees is when you realize how supple their spine is. So Elizabeth, she definitely would be scent marking if she was pregnant. She needs to make sure that no other female is going to be a possible risk to her cubs. So yes, she would still be scent marking if she was pregnant. Now, leopards will scent mark even when they have cubs. It is just more unusual for them to go on long extended scent marking trips. Now, as the cubs get older, they will do that, but when the cubs are young, they don't tend to do it as often. Now, we're going to wait to see where Xidulu goes off to next. In the meantime, let's go see what Hosana is up to.
Well, we're playing a game of reverse as Hosana walks, because he's now on the move. So I'm just going to let him move past. I'm just watching him. I'll look at y'all in a minute. Just going to turn here. There he goes. Good boy. Right, let me go all the way back. And he's going in the Mulwati. Now, Hosana, of course, we saw him grooming his paws and he's doing nice yawns for us. And he seems to look after himself fairly well. I'm sure you all agree with that. Now, did you say, you did say straw head. There are, of course, at times when leopards won't keep themselves, well, in mint condition. We saw that with Tingana when he was feeling a little bit under the weather. So you can imagine, as he's trying to strengthen up again with eating, well, for trying to find a decent meal to eat, he let his coat sort of, well, he basically was neglecting it slightly. But Hosana seems to be well groomed all the time. Even when he's walking in the wet grass, he'll stop frequently and groom himself. Although Tingana is starting to look a lot better now, so he must be feeling a little bit better. I am going to talk to people on the radio, but I can't hear what they're saying. The stations, I'm having an issue with my game drive radio. I don't have any volume, but just an update. Hosana is now mobile north in the Mulwati from his last position. I think Johan will be rejoining the sighting. There's just one unlock for the moment, but there's another space for another vehicle. There we go, just quickly updating everybody. But off he goes. Isn't that beautiful? Especially watching him move that very, very white sand. It'll be quite nice to see what he does, what he gets up to. He looks like he needs a decent meal, so perhaps he'll be keeping an ear out for any nyala or bushbuck. Sammy Jane, yes, I have seen a sick leopard before, I suppose. There was this leopard named Warthog Wallow, and six-toed, sorry, I didn't hear that very well. No, I've never seen a six-toed leopard before, I can't say. Sammy Jane, whenever we look at their paw prints on the ground, they've of course got 4 toes. However, lions and leopards do have a dew claw too, but unfortunately that is not visible in the track. Let me catch up to him a little bit because he's got quite far away, as you can see. So, yeah, no, I can't say that I've ever seen a 6-toed leopard before. That'd be quite interesting though. And I think Hukumuri's got the most interesting tracks I've seen with a leopard, with his sort of long back toes that seem to drag a little bit in the sand. They make for very interesting tracks. I'm just going to shoot up a little bit ahead. We will stop again and watch him. That's what the beautiful thing about the Mulwati is that it is fairly open. We are going to get to some points where we sort of meander around. We're going to get to a section where there are going to be lots of gremlins too, but we will deal with that once we get there. Maybe he's actually going to turn off to the left now, which will lead us up to Spaghetti Junction. Let me give that update. He's just coming up to Spaghetti Junction now. I'm not quite sure if he's going to go towards Battalier Road or if he's... here we go, Johan, you'll get him his visual now. Right, so just like a house cat, you see then, it seemed as though he's dug himself a little hole in the ground. And I don't know what he did there, if he just urinated, or perhaps he dropped off something a little bit larger. Well, he didn't seem to scrape it closed, which is normally what the house cats will do. Come on, boy, why don't you go up towards Chele Pan and have a nice drink of water for us? Yeah, I'm just going to carry on. Very cool, though, hey? What an awesome afternoon. Off we go. Leaving beautiful paw prints in the ground. I'm going to drive over them so nobody gets confused tomorrow morning. Right, we're going to try and navigate around, and hopefully Hosana will do what we've asked him to do, but off you go, back to Ralph, who's not too far away.
Wow, everyone, look at that beautiful sunset starting to make its glow through the trees there. Wonderful. And, well, we've left Taylor with that beautiful little chief of ours, and we were getting very close, we thought, in on Tandi and Cub. But unfortunately, we bumped that buffalo bull that we had yesterday at the start of the drive before we had all the gremlins attack. And, well, he was very nervous. He's a young bull to be alone like that. And on foot, well, we didn't want to stay anywhere near him, because if any of you know the kind of nature of buffalo, in the breeding herds and so on, they generally do run away from you, and it's not really a problem. But those bulls on their own, they can be very tricky on foot. And once a buffalo decides to attack, it's very difficult to stop them. So we just hot-footed it out of the area, and so we're not going to stay there looking for Tundi and cub, because that buffalo bull is there. So we've now heard some intel news from the underground that there is some impala alarm calling on quarantine. So we're going to start making our way over there and see why they're making that noises that they are. So that's why we're walking back on the road. We were really enjoying it in the thick stuff, but that buffalo bull, he went and spoiled the party. So that's why we're back on the road. Oh, look at this. This is just a lot of hippo dung. This is a territorial mark, and I just wanted to show you that is very indicative of hippos. They also like walking along the road. Now, we're going to hot-foot it over to quarantine. Let's head on over to Brent with Xidulu.
She's still having a little rest in the road at the moment, and it has been quite warm this afternoon. She's covered a fair bit of distance since she was found, so she deserves a little rest. Probably just waiting for that edge to drop off the afternoon before moving on. If Hosana met Xidulu, that would be quite an interesting interaction. I think Hosana's still a little bit little. Xidulu might give him a good hiding, or at least chase him. It all depends. It can go either way. It would be fascinating to see. It looks like she's heard something. Nothing too serious, not taking too much notice of it. Her eyes are still a little bit droopy. And you can see she's got a 5-5 spot pattern. So for those of you not sure what a spot pattern is, the spot pattern is the best way to identify individual leopards, and it is the last line of spots the first line of spots above the last line of whiskers. And she's got 5 right, 5 left, so she's a 5-5. Oh, tired kitty. Now, Bobby, I haven't ever seen a leopard with birth defects. Most of those critters die within the first couple of weeks of being born. It's very seldom that a wild animal with any major birth defect will last into adulthood. So I have never seen one with birth defects. Looks like she might be getting ready to move. Now, I'd say the temperature's dropped 2 or 3 degrees in the last couple of minutes, and it should continue to do so as the sun gets further and further below the western horizon. Now, as a lot of you will know, patience is most important thing when it comes to seeing incredible sightings with leopards. The other thing you need is perseverance. Let's go find out how Taylor McCurdy's doing.
We trying to persevere. I don't know where Hosana's gone. I've been trying to sit quietly and listen if we can hear him. I'm just going to go forward towards the edge of the drainage now. So he's slunk away. He's obviously hugging the drainage for a reason. He wants to eat something. He wants to find something that he could potentially catch and eat. Did you go in here, young man? I don't know. Catherine, I quite like that a question about me thinking if Hosana takes us on trips for his entertainment. Yes, I think he's the kind of cat that would have a sense of humour. So I was just checking here. And I think that's probably why he's done this. He's gone, let's just test Taylor's off-roading skills this afternoon. Ow. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back to sort of where we were, because I don't know if I don't actually know where he's gone now. We could have lost him quite easily. I ducked through the little drainage. Obviously, we're quite lucky with these nimble cars. Johan's got a much longer vehicle, so he's not able to do the off-roading, or the efficient off-roading that we can do in these cars. So I thought I'd jump ahead, and then he was going to try and keep view. I also don't have radio comm, so I don't know if he said that he can see him again. I'll have to go caw, caw, and then maybe he'll go and respond, and then I will know that we've seen one another, but we saw him slinking this way. Let's move the tamboti tree. I'm going to go down through this little dip again. I'm just going very slowly to see if I can see him. He's a sneaky fella, this. But why would you? Why would you want to drive them? Or if you were an animal that could slink through and take like the secret paths, that's what I'd be doing. And we're going to keep digging around here and see if we can find him. I'm sure he's somewhere. Anyways, off you go back to Brain 2, who's actually got a view of his leopard.
Well, hopefully Taylor has some luck trying to relocate Hosana. And he does do that from time to time, give us the slip, as do all leopards. Now, a lot of you might think that the leopards do it on purpose or whatnot, and they want to get away from us. I think that's not at all the case. What happens is they just go into an area where we're unable to follow. If a leopard really wanted to give us a slip, they could do so in a matter of seconds. So I think it's just happens to be that they decide to go into an area that isn't suitable for us to follow. I don't think it's on purpose to try to get rid of the vehicles at all. Well, most of the time. Every now and then you sort of have to wonder. But with the Hosana, almost certainly not. And you can see just the way Xidulu was moving. She was hunting. A very interesting question from Katie about what constitutes hunting success now, or what constitutes a hunt. Now, I would definitely say what we saw today with her was a hunt. She spent a fair amount of time trying to get close to those Inyala, expending time and energy, and unfortunately for her, she was spotted. But I would say that definitely would have constituted a hunt, a failed hunt. I suppose it all depends on the individual who's viewing it, or the researcher, etc., what constitutes a hunt or not. But I would say what we saw today definitely constitutes a hunt. And remember, if they had incredibly high success rates, there'd probably be no other animals left because they'd eat them all. Now, I spent a lot of time following lots of different animals, lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, all throughout Africa. And Brenda, I don't think the vehicles inhibit the animals hunting if you drive carefully and respectfully. Now, if you drive badly and you chase animals with your car, of course it will inhibit hunting because they will run away from you or get aggressive with you. But as you've noticed here today, and she has chosen to lie right in the middle of the main road with 3 cars here and has absolutely not a care. Even though she's not hunting, we're not affecting her behavior. And she has grown up with vehicles and realizes that they don't cause or they're not a threat to her, and or a hindrance. And remember I was saying that perseverance is important when following big cats? Well done, Taylor McCurdy, who's caught up with Hosana.
We have, sorry, I'm just navigating through this little thicket here. We did have a nice view of him, but he's on the move. He's moving quickly. So I'm just going to jump over here. And we'll stop. And we'll watch him move. Off he goes. And then we'll take the next gap. Just dropping my head. Here you go. Tail up in the air. Are you going to scent mark against the tree? No, not yet. He's looking lean. I think it's the leanest we've seen him for a while. But don't worry. You never know when he might get his next meal. But let's jump up ahead again before he disappears once more. We don't want that to happen, that's for sure. I don't know why I sometimes sound like Dr. Zeus when I rhyme, hey? When I say things like that, it's a little bit silly. There's a very unhappy birds. Please drink from this pan, Hosana. There we go. Yes, now this is what we wanted. I'm just calling Johan quickly because I know he would appreciate a photographic moment like what we've got here. Hosana lapping up some delicious, refreshing cold water. You can just hear he's just navigating, trying to get into a very good spot. I'm envious of him right now. So, Kirsten, please, may I have that question again? I know I remember it, but I've forgotten it at the same time. Oh, there we go. Now, Dave, they've got an incredible sense of hearing. I think it also depends on things like wind direction. That will aid something like hearing sound quite far off. And, I mean, sometimes we sit on hundreds of meters away. We don't even know that a vehicle is arriving the site, and we've called them in. You know that they might be 3 or 4 roads away, and you often see the cats prick their heads up already listening. And then just a few moments later, or a couple of minutes later, a vehicle will arrive, and sometimes you'll see them also pricking their ears up, and then you're sitting dead quiet and you don't say a word because you want to hear what they're hearing, and you have no idea. You can't hear a sound, you can just hear birds tweeting. They may hear an impala snorting in the far distance. They could hear something like another leopard soaring a little way away. But exactly how far a leopard can hear away, I'm not exactly sure. But it would be definitely, I would say, a couple of 100 meters, maybe even up to about 1 kilometer. Obviously, if it's a leopard soaring, that's going to be a bit different, but sort of maybe a subtle sound. I'm not sure. Here he comes, right in front of the car. That's me. There's the hood of the car. But you can just see all the tire that's on top. How cool is that? So relaxed, not even glancing back at us. And now back onto the road, the easiest place to walk. And he's heading straight along Twin Dams Road now. Just very, very gradual pace, going back towards Vuyatela Dam. Maybe he's going to try his luck with all those impala that head up to a quarantine, which are open plains behind camp, and try his luck there. Or perhaps he's going to hop into the lodge and see if he can catch an Inyala at Vuyatela or Galago. But first, something on the ground that's caught his eye. I just want to reposition Darby very quickly just so I can give these guys a better view. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull off the road just slightly. And them head though as well so they can get a good view. There we go. We'll just watch him before he disappears around the corner. Just shuffle out the way for you. But that's amazing. There we go.